Rajan, one point that you talked about, this is not personal to Google or personal to Facebook, but when we say 6,000 crores, 7,000 crores, the fact is that both of you are taking 90% of that. Almost 90% of online advertising revenue is going to these two platforms. And then the change is left for about 1,000 publishers like us to pick up. So, one of the things that you will have to do, and you means you and Facebook and any other large distributor of content, is find ways and means of ensuring that your partnership with the publisher is more equitable. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, user-generated content will get you only that far. Yeah. What I really want to hear from you is we are beginning to see now in the world of content that the publisher is beginning to get more power in his hands because the consumer, the discerning consumer, is going to better quality content. Now, I know that these forces will drive a more equitable revenue share. But is there something that we can do proactively to ensure that this process, which is inevitable, doesn't end up being confrontational, but we can as partners sit down and say, yes, publishers are needed, yes, distribution platforms are needed. How can we have a more equitable share?
No, absolutely. By the way, the combined share is much lower than what you've said.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's very interesting to see what has happened in the last 2 years.
But what do you say, about 70, 75%?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but yeah,
it's in that range.
Yeah, okay. it's in that range. So the, I think the key, and what we are seeing now, Raghav, is publishers who have the right content for valuable audiences are actually able to generate reasonable revenues, right? So,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I would say yes.
So, for instance, if you have let's say, a platform for women who are in the, between 18 to 35, and you get 20 or 30 million very active users on that platform consuming, whatever the right set of content is for that audience, that platform will generate 20, 30, 40 million dollars of revenue. Now you have to sell it right, you have to target, well, and so on and so forth, right? So I think and we are beginning to see that, right? And I think the beauty of, these local languages is, the reality is the largest television broadcaster in Tamil Nadu is a Tamil broadcaster, right?
Correct. And perhaps also the most valuable Indian broadcast company, or if you adjust for a few parameters.
Yeah, and so there is no reason why we won't have dozens of companies that will generate hundreds of crores of revenue. It'll be a combination. And by the way, the other thing is, I do think the business model for publishers shouldn't only be ads, right? Ads, subscriptions, finding ways to drive commerce through referrals and whatnot. I think we need to morph these business models. And so we are working with a number of, we work very closely with publisher partners. So we're working very closely with them to help them think through how to do that, etc. So I completely agree with you. Look, for us to have a thriving open internet in India, which is what we have today, and it needs to, we are hoping will stay that way, everybody needs to win.